Having a great day. Thank you for joining us today for the Talent Mobility webinar on unlocking employment opportunities in business, management, and engineering professionals. We are thrilled to have you here, and today we have a very exciting list of guest speakers and attendees from all around the world. And thank you for making time to join us for our webinar for both our guest speakers as well for all of you watching right now. Our goal today is to provide all of you with valuable insight into making a successful career transition into Europe. And we have some exciting guest speakers as well as topics lined up, some interesting statistics to cover. But before all that, let's set some, a little bit ground rules and give you guys a little bit of an agenda of what we will be doing today. So, as you guys can see, in the top right of your screen, please use the Q&A function in Teams to ask any questions to us. Yeah, please use that to ask any questions directed to our team, and we do have some team members in the background that will be helping answer those questions. And furthermore, we also have a Q&A function, a Q&A session at the end of the session, where we will be addressing all of the as many of the questions as we can that you will be sending to us. Yeah. Additionally, feel free to use the chat function to interact with us speakers and to provide any feedback or, contribute to the discussion in any way that you would like. So here is the agenda for today's webinar. We'll start by introducing our speakers, including the guest speakers who will share their firsthand experiences. Afterwards, I will cover some of the trends and the current status of the European management and business management sector, as well as the engineering sector, as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the in-demand jobs and take a closer look at the statistics that we can see regarding that. After that, we will have a panel discussion. In this section, we will be engaging our guest speakers who will be answering key questions about their experiences as professionals in their fields within engineering and business management in Europe. They will also talk about the workplace environment and some of the future prospects in the field that they're currently working in Europe. After that, we will be giving a short introduction to Sperton. That's where we will cover a little bit about our qualifications as well as a little bit about what the company does. And at the end of the day, at the end of the session, we will hold an extensive Q&A session, and we encourage you to stay with us until the end so that we can address as many of your questions as possible. Now, let's get started with the speaker introductions. Kousain, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jihun, for setting the stage up. So my name is Kousain. I'm currently based in Kassel. It's an hour drive from Frankfurt. I'm currently working as a country and people manager at Sperton, and taking care of talent acquisition, the complete employee life cycle for some of our clients in the energy sector, in IT, in healthcare. I'm currently supporting in 7 regions. This includes Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, Netherlands, France, and this Austria region as well. So quite exciting. Besides, I have been working within human resources for the past 10 years. I have worked in different regions within Europe, of course, and in Asia Pacific, South Asia region as well, with some of the big household names as British Petroleum, Telenor in the telecommunication and energy sector. So pure human resources person. Thank you, Jihun. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Kousain. Now, this is me, Jihun. Recently finished my bachelor's in international business administration. I am currently working at Sperton as a market research, as a um, yeah, talent acquisition analyst. I've worked several times before with some local companies in Germany, specifically here in Bremen, specifically OHB SE, Topaz, and Enkoe. Um, uh, yeah, and I'm very excited to be here. All right. Um, Tanu, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you, June, and thank you, everyone. And I hope it's good morning, good evening, good night, because I've heard people are here from North and South America also. So whatever time you are there, I hope it's good. So I'm Tanraj Kulshrestha. I'm from India, and currently I'm working with Allianz Commercial in process management. So our role is to improve the whole process life cycle. And how do we do it? We include IT in that, and we also try to improve this by making the process lean. We try to include offshoring in this so that our process becomes more efficient. Before that, I also worked in India as a sales and accounting. So I have marketing. So I have MBA in marketing and operations. So marketing is done now in operation management. I also have done bachelor's in electronics and communication engineering. And currently I live in Castle with my family. I have a small child of 2 years old. So just enjoying the beautiful period. And thank you. If you have any question, just let me know.
Thank you, Tanu, for that introduction. Bilia, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, thank you everyone. Good morning from Kassel, Germany. My name is Bilal Ahmad. I have recently graduated from University of Kassel. My master degree was in functional safety engineering. My background with bachelor's is in electrical engineering from Pakistan. I have also recently joined as associate consultant in one of the global automotive consulting service company, UL Solutions. Before that, for 2 years, I was working in one of the tier one suppliers in automotive industry as a working student, as also internee, as also a master thesis researcher. And my main subjects was functional safety as well as cybersecurity. So currently, I am in the domain of working with OEMs, also with tier ones, giving my services as a functional safety expert, also as a cybersecurity, and recently I'm also going into the domain of A-Spice, where my main role would be giving process expertise and also doing the assessment on the processes of the OEMs. I guess this is more technical, but yeah, for overall, actually, I am into the automotive industry, and we will be talking more detail in this webinar, which Kousain and other colleagues have arranged it. And yes, thank you everyone again.
Thank you, Gillian. And panel, great to have you guys here. And yeah, I look forward to listening to the panel discussion later on. Now, I will present to you guys a little bit about the business management and engineering needs in Europe, briefly covering some of the current situations in Europe in regards to business management and engineering, as well as, what the future outlook is like. So according to the CEDFOP, which stands for European Center for the Development of Vocational Training, there is predicted to be an estimated 1.5 million people who are expected to leave the business management. So positions within business management, this includes positions in HR, this includes position in sales, everything that's business management related within the next few years. And because of this, as well as the growing demand in business management within Europe, it's expected that there will be 1.7 million job openings between 2022 and 2035. So these 1.7 million job openings that will be created in Europe, in Germany, in Denmark, and all these European countries is already happening, and it's already underway. And one of the growing um skills that is predicted to be very relevant within the next coming years, as well as within profiles for for future job applications and so forth for business managers, is to be affected by the latest digital skills. So this includes things such as fintech, digital marketing, and things that have to do with the digitization of the labor market as we know it. Now, this is covering the business manager side, but then we also have the engineering side. So, according to an article by the EURES, which is of a similar function, but that focus on the yeah on the employment aspect, the employment levels of researchers and engineers is expected to grow by a further 15 percent between 2018 and 2030. So this statistics is also currently underway, and during this time, it's predicted that as the number I presented before with the expected people who are leaving out as well as the projected growth, there will be around 4.3 million vacancies that will be created during this timeline. So given the scope of, the technological advancements in the current generation, as well as, this 4.3 million vacancies that are predicted, there is clearly a very strong demand for not only engineers, which is the number that we're talking about right now, but also business managers, as I mentioned previously. Kousain will later on give you guys a more statistical view. So this is, just in some of the articles that are presented by, some very important agencies that cover topics within the European Union. However, Kousain will give you a more statistical insight into the numbers, how many people are specifically in certain areas, what are the hiring demand outlooks like, and much more. Now, before we move on to that, let me give you guys a little bit of a comparison for the USA and Germany and the UAE. Kousain, if you could put the next slide, please. Yeah. So, in order to make this process as simple to understand for a lot of you guys, we've created a comparison between Europe, USA, and the UAE. Um, to start with, we have three comparative points: salary, working hours, and mobility. The salary for engineers in Europe is averages around 5,666 per month in USD. So just to have the same currency for all the salaries. In the USA, this amounts to 7,583, and in the UAE, this amounts to 2,724. Now, clearly, the USA has higher average salary for engineers than Europe and the UAE, but it's also necessary. It's also very, very important to understand that these numbers are very at the end of the day are affected by things such as taxes, things such as living fees. So, for example, it's very well known that in the USA, the cost of renting an apartment, the cost of food, the cost these type of costs are much 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 higher than in Europe and in the USA and the UAE. Yeah. As for working hours, the average working hour for engineers in Europe amounts to 37.5 hours per week. In USA, this number is almost an hour longer, 38.9. And in the UAE, it's considerably higher at 41 hours per week. According to mobility, however, clearly Europe is much better in this regard in comparison to the USA and UAE because Europe encompasses such a wide range of countries. There's a clearly bigger flexibility and certification recognition in Europe than something that might be um, provided in the USA and the UAE, because in the USA and the UAE, their qualifications are recognized within the US. So, what does qualification recognition really mean? This is a very important aspect that you will have to address once you start, trying to transition into a European job market, because it's very, very important for European countries that your certification and your let's say university graduation degrees and things like this are recognized within the country. And these are, for example, some of the challenges that you might have to face while trying to transition into the European job market. Now, Kousain, could you tell us a little bit about some of the in-demand job titles in these fields, and give us a little bit of a talent landscape insight?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jihun. First of all, giving those insights that you have shared, the comparisons, of course, like, how the future job market look like. So on a Saturday morning, evening, afternoon, I will now present the numbers, like statistical side, try to keep it as interesting as possible. And so what we had done over the past 7, 8 months is that, we have assess the entire talent landscape for some of the areas that we are providing support in to professionals. And we have mapped out different regions where, for instance, there is more talent, where there are more job opportunities, and this would be interesting for people who are willing to relocate to Europe, explore opportunities within Europe. And we will be touching upon two specific disciplines today. One of them would be around engineering, and the second will be around management. Within engineering, we will be talking about three job areas. So that will be, let's say, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, because of course there is a long list of engineering disciplines that because of time, we will not be able to share that, but we will touch upon the three top ones. And then likewise, same for management as well. We'll be touching about finance, supply chain, procurement, and human resources, plus ERP, SAP as well. So now moving on to that. So some good numbers here. Starting with, first of all, we'll be looking at mechanical engineering. What we had done is we had identified, let's say, top four job titles around mechanical engineers. So you have, let's say, mechanical engineers, mechanical technicians, mechanical engineering specialists, senior mechanical engineers. If you would see that, we have in total around 11,346 professionals that are working, that are in the register database. You see here that there is a 1% negative downfall. So this means that, there are people who are, let's say, leaving this job. They are probably exploring some other opportunities. There are 969 jobs at this point in time that are registered within the market. Of course, a lot of those jobs are, let's say, does not come onto the digital platform as well. And when we are talking about, for instance, one of the interesting part, this specific discipline is very hard to hire. So for instance, as a talent acquisition firm, people who are looking, hiring managers within the firms, for them, it is difficult to hire. So that means these titles are high in demand. Talking about diversity, so there are 10% females working in this group, 90% are male. So still, like, there is, and companies in Europe are very much open to diversify their workforce. So there's a good opportunity for all the genders to work on this sense. If you are now planning to move to Germany and you have a mechanical background, so it's really important to see that where these job opportunities lies. So for instance, if you would now fly into this region within Germany, you see that there are, let's say, no job opportunities or less job openings. So you should really plan your move accordingly, because if you will, let's say, land into a city that does not have that industry that supports mechanical engineering, so that will really uh, decide your future job prospects. So it's really wise to look into that. What are the top skills that mechanical engineers must have? What are the top skills that people are looking at? So you should have design engineering experience. You should have computer aided engineering experience, CATIA, PTC Creo. So these are the platforms that one must have, or the specialities. Which of the top companies are hiring these people? So you have, of course, the big names, Siemens, BMW, ZF Group, Bosch, Siemens Energy. And if you would see that this talent, they have been hiring at an 18% growth over the past 1 year for Siemens, 20% for BMW, 19% for Bosch, 31% for Siemens. So they have been hiring this talent on an year-in-year growth of around, I would say, well over around 20%. So if there are, of course, mechanical engineers, so these are the job prospects for them. Now, coming on to electrical engineers. On electrical engineering side, what we did was, again, some analytics on that side. First of all, the news is that, this, again, discipline within engineering is very high in demand. There are 10,172 job openings around electrical engineers. There's a -2% on electrical engineers in terms of the total workforce that we have. So that means that there are people who have been working in these positions, and these positions are now vacant. So you will have people who are already leaving this job, or let's say switching into different career, or let's say, as we will touch upon with Bilal as well. So he has an electrical engineering background, but he is now working on much specialized roles. So that position would be filled. So there are 10,000 plus positions that are there. Again, the region that you should focus on if you are moving as an electrical engineering background, some of the firms, Siemens, Deutsche Bahn, Deutsche Telekom, Bosch, Volkswagen Group. What are the top skills that you must have if you are moving to Germany? And this is really important because a lot of times professionals are moving into Europe. They would have a certain skill at their home country, and they would miss out on our certain skills. But we need to really see, to increase your job prospects within Europe, that what opportunities you should have. So for instance, you should have, if you are an electrical engineer, you should still have, let's say, some essence of electronic manufacturing, electronic repair, automotive electronics, electrical wiring, power electronics, maintenance and repair, electrical engineering, SCADA. So, if you would have a mixed good combination around these technologies, there's a good chance that you should have a good prospect around this. Now, coming on to civil engineering, what we did for civil engineering, we clubbed civil engineering with architectural engineering and structural engineering as well. You have 3,217 open job slots. Again, in a similar region that you would see. You have a diversity of 24% female, 76% males. So again, a good opportunity for females who would like to join this workforce as well. It's very high in demand. Some of the companies who are employing this talent, Selbstständig, the Autobahn GmbH, Goldbeck, Deutsche Bahn, an upward trend that here we can see that as well. 5%, 18%, 18%, 26%, so 15% on average. What are the skills that you must have if you really plan to work as a structural civil engineer? You should have drafting skills. You should have worked on SAP 2000, reinforced concrete, AutoCAD, structural calculations. So some of these skills, if you are planning, if you have this background and planning to move into Germany around this. So that was around the engineering side. What we have done is we have done a similar activity for all the job roles that you would see here. And a similar trend could be observed. So people who have aerospace engineering, architectural engineering, automotive engineering, chemical engineering, civil engineering, computer engineering, high in demand. Then you have electrical, environmental, geologists, geophysicists as well. Of course, this does not fall directly into the category of engineers, but they really support a lot of energy companies as well. So marine engineering, material sciences, mechanical, mechatronics, mining, software, structural, and telecommunications. So if any of you fall in these disciplines of engineering, so we would highly encourage that, these people are in demand. as Jihun mentioned as well in this in one of the slides, that there are 1.5 million engineering professionals that are required over the next few years. And you could already see that, we have only touched three job titles, and you could see 30,000 plus around professionals that are needed at this current point in time. So if you would just spread this over the next few years, this already translates into the number that are required. So immense opportunities for engineering professionals to look into the German landscape. And of course, that is translated because Germany is a highly industrialized economy, one of the having one of the highest GDPs. And then now there is a big push on digitalizing the economy as well. So there are initiatives that are being taken on grid electrification, digitization of assets, digitization of processes, and as we are talking about engineering professionals, we are also requiring people who are having a IT background as well to just everything works in a good circle. Now, coming on to the management side of the companies, because support functions are essentially important as well when running businesses, when running big firms. So yes, you do need technical people with IT background, with engineering background, but support functions, let's say human resources, supply chain management, you should have people with finance, and everything has to go intact as well. So talking about people with human resources, there are, of course, a higher number of people who are working in this workforce, but there are still 6,805 job openings at this current point in time. Some of the top titles that we touched upon are human resource specialist, human resource manager, human resource assistants, director, executive consultants. So within different tiers of within human resources, that executive level as well, starting mid-senior and then executives as well. Talking about some of the top titles are managers, specialists, officers, recruiters as well, business partners. So different functions within the human resources. What are the big companies that are employing this talent? Deutsche Bahn, Hayes, Bosch, BASF, Deutsche Telekom. And then you would see that there are 13%, 4%, 7%. One of the interesting part is that you would see that Hayes and Deutsche Telekom have a -9% and a -1%. So it does not necessarily mean that these companies are slashing employees. It means that people are moving from these companies to other bigger opportunities. So when you are moving to Germany, and this is where this analytics helps you, that the companies where you see a downward trend, these are the companies where you could see more openings. So you should apply, let's say, more on Hayes, more on Deutsche Telekom, because people are leaving from these companies, and you would have a higher opportunity if you're moving in from a different place. That's one. Again, on the diversity side, so you have 73% females working in this, and then 27% male. So a good opportunity for people from both the genders to join. This demand, again, as I mentioned, is high on demand as well, positions. Coming on to finance and accounting. And then on finance accounting, you have 15,575 jobs that are open, much higher than human resources, of course. You have a good, even, I would say, diversity around finance. Some of the top skills that are required for finance professionals, you must have experience on the financial statements. Um, People having, this was interesting for us to see that people having sales and distribution background, and this could relate in a sense because Germany is a very heavy industrialized economy. You have products that are physical that have to be, let's say, sold across the globe. So, and then if you're working in the finance, if you have your background leveraged by in sales and distribution, the supply chain side of that as well. So I think that will definitely help you while working in finance. You should have experience on ledger management, bookkeeping, accounts. Some of the top titles are account managers, accountants, account executive, finance specialists, finance accountants. So again, you would here see that more on the mid entry to mid level roles. So highly encouraged who are people who have, let's say, working in this tier, a good opportunity for them. Some of the companies that are hiring are Deutsche Telekom, Siemens, Targo Bank, Amazon, Bechtel. You would see again a trend of 2%, 13, 6, 6, and 8%. So some of the companies that are hiring on this, upward trend on that side. Coming on to procurement, logistics, and supply chain management. I'll just pause here for a second. So, in the audience, if you have any questions in this time, please make sure to use the Q&A function. We will be taking those questions towards the end. So, in between, please feel free to ask any questions, and then our team will take notes of them, and then we will be taking those questions with the panel, and then of course from our side as well. So coming back, once again on the procurement, logistics, and supply chain, very high in demand. You have 4,304 open positions at this point in time. You would see an upward trend on the professionals that are coming in. So the workforce is growing. These could be people who are upscaling themselves, and then people who are coming from different regions across the globe. You have, again, a good diversity of 31% female, 69% males working in this. Some of the areas where these specific positions are. So this could be interesting, and we see a consistent trend on the jobs. Some of the skills that you must have are logistics management, supply chain, procurement, analytical skills, sales and distribution again. So people who have, let's say, that background complemented by procurement could be something. Top field of studies, you should have experience in business administration, logistics, economics, industrial engineering, and international business as well. So somebody, again, a good opportunity for people who have a mix of, let's say, industrial engineering plus supply chain, a good opportunity for them. As we mentioned, that again, Germany, a heavy industrialized economy. So for engineers, that could be a good option as well to look into upskilling their career. What are the big companies that are hiring? Siemens, Mercedes, BASF, Airbus, Kuehne Nagel. You would see again a trend of somewhere around 8 to 10% on that side as well. So that was around procurement. One of the interesting job titles that we looked at, because there a high digitalization within the support functions as well that's happening, and this is where, for instance, you would need people who could integrate different functions within a company. So, and this is where your ERP plays a big role. Enterprise resource planning, you have softwares as SAP, you have softwares supported by Oracle, making sure that all the cogs in the wheel in an organization are running smoothly. On that note, we also investigated that, what are the trends around this? So you would see that there are 5,587 job posts that are up there. This is a very high in demand talent to hire. You have a gender diversity of 27% female, 73% males. Some of the titles that you should, some of the skills that you should have are SAP Advanced Business, analyst, your managers, basis consultants, enterprise resource planning. Some of the top titles around are a SAP consultant specialist, enterprise resource planning consultants, SAP project managers who are employing this talent. SAP, of course, the big leader in this, NTT Data, ABAP, Accenture, MHP. And you would see a consistent trend over here as well. So 7%, 14%, 7%, and 32%. This is where people are, the companies are hiring. So a good opportunity for people who are working on digitalizing assets, having background in SAP, in Oracle, or different ERP solutions. A good opportunity for them as well to explore the market. So that was from our side in terms of specific analytics. And then now coming into some of the job areas within within the support functions. So if you are a person who have a background in human resources, sales and marketing, supply chain, finance and accounting, risk management, corporate communications, and legal support functions supporting big businesses, small medium enterprises, then you should definitely explore. We have done a similar study for all of these functions as well, and we saw an upfront trend. And then, of course, that supports with the 1.7 million support function professionals, management professionals that are required within Europe, within Germany as well over the next few years until 2035. So good opportunity for people working in this as well. So that was it from our side in terms of the research. Now coming into one of my favorite sections within webinars, it's the panel discussion. where I would include Bilal and Tanu to join in the conversation as well. First of all, thank you, both of you, for taking the time out on a Sunday morning. I'm sure your week would have been really busy, but I'm glad that we could learn from your experiences and include the people who are there to give the insights. Perfect. So we will start with I would say Bilal or Tanu. We will start with one of you. So coming to
Um,
Bilal first of all. Yeah,
Kousain, just to interrupt you here, I
please.
think there is someone raising their hand in the meeting.
Of course. I
If
can
yeah,
comment on that. Zulfikar, if you
sure.
could please write your question into the chat, and then we will be taking those questions towards the end. I think that will really
At
help
the end,
to just
yes,
make sure that everything goes smooth. So please do that. Yeah. Wonderful. Thanks, Bilal, for pointing that out. Of course, we would
yeah,
want our
sure.
audience, the entire conversation to be as inclusive as possible. So we will, of course, do that. Wonderful. So, and then in the questions that we will be asking, I think a lot of interesting topics, we will already touch that as well. Bilal, coming to you first of all,
Yeah.
you have been now living in Germany for many years. You have worked in different cities within Germany.
Mhm.
Um, how was your first impression when you landed in Europe? How was it like? It is ages ago, but if you could just share a little bit on that side.
Sure. Overall, it was a great experience, but I can say it was feeling actually what we were fantasizing all over in our childhood, watching some movies and all that. It's the same situation. It's the same feeling when we land in the Europe actually. Yeah. So clean weather, good weather, really immaculate temperature, no sweating, not so much coldness like Canada, like the Greenland or like the Nordic countries. So it's kind of like a mixed flavor, and I feel better here. Yeah, this is my first
Perfect.
impression. Yeah.
Perfect. Tanu, if you would like to add to that as well, how was it for you?
So it was same like Bilal because we are coming from the Asian part of the world and moving here where so in our side it's very hot. Where I'm coming from, it's mostly from North India and it's very hot. And when I moved here, and it was October kind of time, so all the Christmas feeling, the great Christmas market, all the lighting. So it was fun. It was very nice to see, and people coming out
Mhm.
even in all that snow. So it was little surprising, but it was fun.
Wonderful, no, good to know. I think it's the weather, of course, is one of the things that we have a good diversity. You have, of course, the cold winters, and then nice, pleasant summers. And then you have in the south of Germany, you already have, let's say, big high mountains, and then the norths are flat. So a good geographical diversity in that sense as well. So talking about, of course, it has been now quite some time for you living now in Germany, but how was the process at that point in time? Was it difficult then? Is it easier now? Is it difficult now? Easier then? How do you feel that? How was the initial process at that time? And then what do you think about this moving to Germany?
So I can take this question.
Yeah, please.
This is my feeling actually, my gut feeling. Every year it's gonna be a little bit more difficult, seeing what's the economic side of Asia, especially in Pakistan, the situation from my home country. The euro prices is going up. When I moved it, the euro price was 147, and right now it's around 300. So, would say that when I moved it here in Germany 5 years ago, it was a little bit easier for us being a student to move here. But now it has become a little bit stressful for some people. Yes. But overall, if we go into the abstract side of the whole process, it's kind of stressful, but it's manageable with the help of the people. Yes, this is what I say.
Perfect. Bilal, on that note, just to understand,
Hmm.
of course, there are some developments that are happening in Europe, and there are some development that are happening in different part of the world. So in your case, as you mentioned, Pakistan. So are these challenges that you mentioned that it will get a little bit more difficult? Is it because of, let's say, the local situation in those home countries, or is it because you feel that, is it because of your, and then of course, when we saw the trends in terms of the employment opportunities, the demand that we have, that relates to that, okay, there is a big need in the next few years. So what do you
Sure.
say, that is it home countries or what's happening there?
I hope everyone still remembers the COVID times, right? So the COVID time hits the economy slash everyone in Pakistan, everyone in Europe, everyone in Americas. The inflation was hitting everyone. The prices have gone up. The energy prices have gone up. So overall, it was easier, and it's a little bit now tougher. It's stressful now, but again, it's manageable. Some initiatives in Germany, actually, they have taken to slash the food products which people are using in daily basis. They maintain the prices there. They also are giving some subsidies. I'm not sure about Pakistan, but yes, in Germany, actually, they try to decrease the inflation and try to release the stress from the middle class people. Yeah, this is how I take this.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Mhm.
And Tanu, on your side as well, how do you feel that, is it getting tougher or is it getting easier? What are your thoughts on that?
So personally, it was easier for me when I moved to move to Germany because my wife was already here. So I haven't had that kind of problem. But what I see actually, what Bilal has already mentioned, that the inflation we have seen big major event. One was COVID. We see this war, Russia-Ukraine war, which has affected directly to the European side. We see high energy prices. We see high fuel prices and inflation. They are trying to tackle it, but still it has gone up and now it's staying there. Yeah, so we are seeing high interest rate also in the market. So that is actually affecting the way people are living. The expenses, the daily expenses have gone up. So I totally agree with Bilal on that point. It will it So what we were seeing as a good salary 5 years ago, now we'll have to move little bit up on that side if you want to move here. Uh,
Exactly. No,
yeah.
perfect. I think when you are, of course, growing into your career as well, and then of course your needs increases, you want to, let's say,
Yeah.
move from a C class to a S class, then of course, like, that has to go through a thing. That's very interesting that when you mentioned that, you are now, of course, living with your family. So could you tell us that how was the process like, Tanu, for you, bringing your family here? Was it difficult? What stage of your career did you brought your family here? How was it like?
So it is actually other way around. So my wife was already here, so she came here on a project and then it got extended and then I moved here. So, but it was not that tough because when you have already a permanent contract here, then it is easier. So you get this document from government, and then you can send it to visa offices. So in India, it was easier.
Okay.
The approval part is easier if you already have a permanent contract. But if you don't, then it becomes a, so if you are on a job search visa or if you are a student, then bring your family, then it becomes little tough because then you will have to show all the expenses. How will you support your family here? So then it becomes little tough.
Perfect. Good to know. So, from on your side, would you suggest that, if somebody is moving, on, let's say, looking for opportunities, we saw that there are a lot of opportunities here. So would you suggest that, they should bring their spouse with them at the start, because that will be easier rather than bringing them later, in the next few months, while they're on the job search? How would you suggest that?
So if you are in job search, I would suggest to come alone first so that you can set up a base. Yeah, your expenses will be lower because if we are coming from India or Pakistan or some their part, because the currency exchange rate, the differences, so it is easier to manage your expenses. And then when you get something, then you can easily bring your family. So I
Perfect.
would suggest move alone and then bring your family. If you have something, then it's easier. But if you don't have anything, then it won't make sense.
No, exactly. I think it's much easier. Like, if you have, let's say, a lot of job interviews scheduled, if you are trying to explore into different regions, because as we saw that, those jobs are spreaded into different Bundesland, as we say. So it will be much
Yeah.
easier to do that. A lot of questions that we have been asked, like, from some of the people, we received pre-questions before this webinar as well, and we'll be addressing those. So one of the questions that was asked is that how easy is it for you to bring your parents? We see that there is a provision in the US that you can bring your parents over the next few years. So how easy is it for the parents, Bilal or Tanu? If
I
you could
I
have any
I
examples,
can
please.
yes
Perfect.
yes I can take one I can take this question. Recently, I came across with the policy of Foreign Office here in the local castle. And they were actually stating that there is now a new law in Germany where you can bring your parents, mom and dad, as a sponsor person on your blue card here or any working visa when you achieve some level of salary here. So this is also happening, like in Canada, like in America, the people with green cards, they were bringing their parents permanently with them. They were supporting and sponsoring them. The same is the situation also in the Germany. Actually, they can also allow you to take your parents from Pakistan and also bring it here in Germany. Yeah. So this is a
That's
new
good to know.
news.
Just
Yeah.
Perfect.
just one point to that.
Yes.
Please.
Uh, so now, because of this law, you can bring your parent, but the health system which we have in Germany, so it's like whoever is a citizen, it's a part of the health insurance system. So the
Yes.
health insurance premium for the parents is very high. So it's what I've
Mhm.
heard, it's around 1500 per month. So that, so just check. I'm not 100% sure, but what I've heard, it's with the new law, you can now bring your parents. Earlier, it was not possible at all, but now you can
Yes.
bring it. But uh, the health insurance cost will be very much high.
Hmm.
Perfect. No, thanks, Tanu, for sharing that. Of course, I think that's a personal choice. If somebody is on a 10,000 euro, 100,000 euro yearly package, 110, 20,000, so then it's, I think, a personal choice that they have to
Yeah.
evaluate. But that's great to know from both of you that the policy is now there, so you can
Yeah.
consider if you want to bring them. That's good. Um, so touching upon one of the things. Tanu, I will come to you on this question because you have, let's say, experienced that part where your spouse was already here, then you have moved. So how long was the process for you when you were coming into Germany?
Sorry, I was getting
Yeah, please.
repeat.
Sorry, we cannot hear you. If you can just please repeat that.
So
Yeah, go
actually,
ahead.
I was getting
Do
a,
you?
I was actually getting a call, so I did not hear the question. Can you
Sorry,
please
I can
repeat?
I
So
can
it
repeat
is
that.
about the German language.
No, no, no. It's about when since your spouse was already here in Germany, and then you, of course, applied later. So how long was the process for you, let's say, on a reunion site?
So
Was it a long
I
process or yeah?
no, actually, it was different situations. So when I first applied, I was not, because my wife was here on just for 1 year contract. So I
Okay.
thought I would, I had already a job in India. So I thought I would come here for 10, 15 days. I'll go back, come again. So then the visa kind of different. I applied that, something happened and it was cancelled. They did not give me the visa. And then I applied for the full stay visa, and then it took around 3 to 4 months.
Oh, that's
So
wonderful.
when I
Okay.
yeah, so when I applied in India, then they have sent a query here in Germany. My wife went to the here in the Rathaus, the municipal office, and then she confirmed, and then they gave the green light. So then I
Perfect.
received in India.
So
Yeah.
that was not a long one. And then Bilal, for you, it was a similar short one as well, or it was long for you?
It was long process actually. I applied for the study visa. So in the start, I applied in the summer semester, which I didn't get any good interesting program, and then I got admission in the winter semester. So the whole process to relocate from Pakistan, giving interviews in the embassy and coming here in Germany, actually it took me around 1 year
Okay, okay.
just for
No,
the
that's
student visa. Yes,
the
yeah,
trouble.
this is my
Yeah, of
experience.
course. Yeah, and as both of you mentioned that, and we saw that, there will be more people, professionals coming in because of the demand. So then we have limited resources in the embassies, in the consulate. So
Exactly.
this will only get longer and longer in the next few years. Wonderful. So one of the important part that I would discuss now, you have arrived in Germany back in the past few years. One important part, how difficult was it to find an accommodation? Bilal, if you can
Um,
share, you have
yeah.
recently, we know that you have moved. So how difficult was it for you?
Uh, it it is actually difficult for the people who give up. I can just say it like this. Yeah, so searching on a lot of platform like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, or Wiki then and Emonet, and there are so many other applications as well. So you need to put application everywhere in the where the ads are actually published, and then going to the appointments to show your face to them actually, and how they like you and you like them, and then they will give you the room or they will give you an apartment. So it is a little bit hectic for people with Asian or non-European unions countries, but it is manageable. What I do and what I suggest for everyone is to connect with your local people. For example, there are always Indian and Pakistani communities, so they are always helpful. Most of them are flying back home, so they are willing to give you their room for 6 months. That can be extendable as well. You can take over the room officially from that hostel body. So overall, it's more like connecting. You cannot just get the room allocate like allocation. You cannot
Right.
be get allocation of the room like that. Hmm.
Wonderful. No, that's good because this is always an interesting discussion between the after Deutsche Bahn. I think accommodation is the next most interesting discussion within the German
Exactly.
community.
You need some
Tanmay,
expertise. Yeah.
exactly. Tanu, I'll be coming to you on the next question. So, were there any cultural difficulties that you faced when you arrived? How was the first impression in terms of the culture? Welcoming, not welcoming, cold? How was it?
So I have experienced very good this because my wife was here, so she was living with German. So her old owners were Germans, the homeowners, and they have supported her very well. So I have very good experience with that. They were going with her out, showing her around, going. And when I arrived, they helped us to find an accommodation. So it was actually easier for us because we had someone who was ready to sponsor us, give words for us. So I just had one bad experience, but I don't count that.
Of course, you
I
do not
I
generalize like one person
yeah.
on the.
So yeah.
That's
So
that's good.
I actually had very good, and I also think if you speak little bit of German, then it becomes easier to open up with other, because
Perfect.
these people, they are not also comfortable with English
Of
that
course,
much.
exactly. No, that's a really good point.
Mhm.
On that note, what we would do is we will come to the next interesting question, and that is again coping up with the German language. So, Bilal, I'll come to you on
Yes.
that one. So, how are you coping up with the German language? How the journey has been for you? Probably one quick tip for the audience as well. So, how was your experience now on German?
Um, Quick tip, I would just say just take one step at a time. Always learn, always be consistent. Eat, eat, eat the German like, like the kids is eating their snack. You know, you cannot learn all of the German in like 3 months, in like 6 months. But this is a language. This is not a course. This is not a university degree or something. So this skill is very important in Germany to get you on top of the qualification, to get you in a good job market. So my tip would be just take step by step and keep on learning. If you have a Duolingo app, or if there is a time slot in the evening for 1 hour, you can join the online classes somewhere from any schools. And the best tip I can give you is to put money into this learning of German language, because when you will put money, you will know that yeah, it's getting serious. You have to attend the classes, and especially the offline classes. This I definitely recommend. The online classes, yeah, right now after the COVID times, trend is more towards online classes. But my suggestion directly goes that try to join the offline classes and try to join a proper classroom, proper school to learn German. Yes. So
Wonderful.
in that sense, you will interact with other people who are also struggling to learn the German, and the confidence, the insecurity that you are weak in that language will go away for sure.
No, that's good. So,
Yeah.
you would say that anchor yourself, and then of course on site
Be
in
consistent.
class,
Yeah.
be consistent as well. Wonderful. Thanks,
Yes.
Bilal, on that one. Tanu, I'll come to you in terms of, like, we see that you have already worked in India, extensive experience in sales and marketing background, and then you came to Germany. You are now working with one of the biggest insurance firms, and this is, let's say, on a very interesting side of the business. So, how do you see that? Was it difficult from, let's say, working from first ICICI and then now with Allianz? How difficult was it to find a job? This is the
So
most
it
common question that comes from the audience.
so it was actually difficult, I would say, because I worked in the management side, so sales and marketing, so and in the insurance industry. When I moved here, I was so what I've done, I just went into the German language because I know if I want to work in the management, I need to work with the customers, so I need to know the language. But I've done till B1, B2, but it was not that fluent if I need to speak to some customers. So that's why I was finding it difficult. And then COVID happened, and then everything was shut down. So at that time, I decided to do a course in insurance, Executive Master of Insurance from LMU, and that helped. So then I got the industry experience, what is happening actually in Germany in insurance industry. And during that I got I applied for the internship. I got that internship, and then it got converted into a job. But I also applied for the local German companies, and they were purely German speaking people. Yeah, so they were not interested. So if you have the skill, you have all the experience, you have the knowledge, but you don't have the language skill, and they were like, sorry, we can't help you in that. So in that sense, if you're not in just IT side, if you're in some other line and management, language good becomes a big skill to get a job here.
Wonderful. No, good to know. I think because, for instance, if you're working in human resources, you have to deal with all tier of people within the company, and there will be people who could speak, let's say, fluent English. They could speak, let's say, fluent, German, but then they would, of course, prefer the official language. If you're working in sales, then of course, once you're selling some product, you have to do that. If you're dealing with local supply chain as well, you would need that.
Yeah.
And as of course you mentioned, like, if you have, let's say, a technical skill, let's say in IT or engineering, that could be something. But then adding one more skill to your portfolio would always give you an edge, and that could be a language skill, a soft skill, that could be a technical skill. So that's really important on that note. I'll So we have already touched upon, let's say, while planning your move and that initial phase in Europe. I will now come to working as in Europe? Because I think this will be really interesting for people to know that, okay, now they have done that initial hard phase. They have gone through that. They have took their flight. They came to a foreign land now. Now they have landed a job. But what should they aspire to? I think that's really important as well. Bilal, I'll come to you. So you have worked on, of course, in different firms, small, medium enterprises, big businesses, work supporting some of the clients that you're already working with are big household automobile names, BMW, Audi, Mercedes. So on that side, working on different levels as well. What is it like to be a professional working in Europe? You have worked as an engineer back in your home country as well. So what's
Yes.
the difference? What is it like? Please tell us.
So, my journey with working in Europe starts with my master's degree. So, being electrical engineering, being knowing what the basic work actually we do in electrical engineering, there in services, decommissioning, deployment, and these all things. But in here, it's a little bit of difference actually. The engineers are understanding to be a researcher, the developer actually for the new products in the industry which are coming after 4 or 5 years or maybe 2 years after. So overall, the experience was to get into automotive industry as I was a electrical engineer and I was working in dairy industry in construction company in Pakistan, which was a completely different background as we moved to automotive industry. So there was very new topics where I needed so many help from experts and I literally just like write them email or make them a meeting with them, and they were really, really helpful to explain me all the way uh, till my concepts get clear. And they were also putting me into some meetings, some discussions, some topics where actually I would excel myself. For example, I can give you insights that I joined one company uh, this tier one in 2021 in Stuttgart. So they hired me for the functional safety activities on the project. But again, it's the market trend. In 2021, the United Nations directed this new standard for the road vehicles, which was the cybersecurity. So they ramp up my skills. They give me trainings for to allow myself to work on the cybersecurity related projects as well. Relate also side by side was also working as a fuse expert, functional safety expert. So my experience says that these people being in the industry, they are more welcoming, they are more helpful, and they are very much professional. As not those people who actually sit on the big offices and don't want to talk to the lower employees, you can say. This is where I can see there is a gap between the mentality, the mindset of the professionals in Europe, specifically in Germany, and the professionals outside of the Europe, outside of the Germany, maybe. Yeah.
And that's good to know. So for instance, Tanu has mentioned as well that he has upskilled himself in the past few years in the time, and then you have experienced that as well, going into the industry, and then like there's a big encouragement of upskilling
Exactly. Yeah.
yourself. So that's really good that this is how one should see if they are working with a European firm, specifically in Germany. So they should be able to upskill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Tanu, coming to you for the next question from my side. So now you have been living with family. It's when you are living with family, you are working on a full-time job. If your spouse is working as well, work-life balance. That's I think one of the important aspects for your mental well-being as well. You're living in a nice country, should enjoy bicycling, nice mountains. So how do you see that, and since you are working already on the finance side, and then from my experience in the support functions, finance, uh, insurance, those things are heavy on numbers. So you need that mental peace during those off days. How does your a work-life balance look like? Should it, is it great? Is it okay? Please.
So because it's a big international company, so we are working with all around the world. So that's one issue which I see, because I have my colleagues sitting in Asia, also in the US, also the timing. So sometime I need to start at 7, sometime I need to finish at 7, but the overall time I can decide when I want to work. So the flexibility is with me. So I need to, as I think Jihan mentioned, that every week you need to work around 37.5. So that is the case. So I work 38 hours and done. Nobody calls
Wonderful.
me on weekends. If I'm taking, so right now so many people are on summer break, because so nobody will call them, okay, what's happening with this. It's like when you are on holiday, you are on holiday. And even if you start at the lower position, you have the possibility to say no. You can say no, okay, I'm done, I won't take this. Or if you get extra work which you are not able to do or perform, you can say no, my bandwidth is full, I can not do that. So that is the biggest advantage which I
Wonderful.
see here working here. And I would even I would even have that and have less salary than compared to where I'm working and just not enjoying the life. So
Well, that's really
I
good to know that you would uh like put for a higher priority on your health, of course, on enjoying the life as well. Bilal, please,
I
you
would,
wanted to add something,
yes, I
please.
would like to add here as well. Since what I observed here, working for almost now, this is the fourth year. So how they are working professionally is topic driven actually. So they will assign you a topic. They will give you the topic. You will become the topic owner, and the way do you wanna work, you can choose that. So instance, you wanted to research, you wanted to work alone, you wanted to work remote, or you wanted to go to the office, make more meetings, make more interaction or communication with the other colleagues. So this is all actually driven by you. And yes, Tanu had actually really good insights on that as well. So this is one additional comment I would just add.
That's
And related to also the vacation. So what I have observed in the company, the people are taking vacation 3 times in a year. So what they do is like they have got 30 days of vacation time, and they split these 30 days into different months. So, for example, 30 days, 2 weeks I will go in the summer, 2 weeks I will go in the Christmas time. So, and these all actually vacations are paid as well. And there is no boss calling you back, come to the office, we need this project to be done. You are on urlaub, you are in vacation, I don't care. So this is actually highly unlikely to be happen here in Europe, especially in Germany. Yeah.
wonderful. No, that's good to know. Another interesting part when we are talking about, let's say, workplaces. So, workplace culture, workplace diversity. It's a very interesting topic for people who are working in, let's say, human resources on the people's department, as we call it now. How would you say that? How for Sperton, we of course have people working from well over 30 different nationalities spread in on different countries. Bilal, how are the workplaces where you have worked, diversity, people from different backgrounds?
Sure. It's diversity as related to the genders or also with their
On
nationalities.
any
Is the
side,
mix
cultural
one? Okay.
nationalities, background,
Yes.
gender. Yeah.
So what I have observed is the small companies with employees not more than 200 or 250 employees in Germany, they are not really diverse. But if we go into the engineering specific domains like very specialized aircraft industry, and then we talk about automotive industry, there are people working globally actually. So when it comes globally, the projects become globally. So there are people from definitely from China, in engineering. Definitely from India, there are so many workforce I see, and it's too much diverse. But my experience back in 2021 with one of the company, they were always talking German, and even if when I didn't know too much German back then, though I was struggling. And when they were actually talking to us, they were also struggling because they didn't know too much of English. So that is also one problem when you are applying. Make sure to apply for a very big name, apply for global companies, apply for those companies who are also located in other countries. That's where you will find an English environment because the documentation, the people, and the meetings and everything would be conducted in English. Yeah.
Perfect. No, good to know that. I think Bilal, there are some important aspects that, for instance, when you were first of all, I hope that you know the firm that you were working with, the more German speaking firm, the people were welcoming, like you know, they did not give a hard time on you not speaking German. That's one part. And secondly, I think if we look back into our home countries as well, then of course you would see the industry like you know in those factories, small medium enterprises,
Hmm.
they of course prefer to speak the local languages as well. So for instance, Tanu, in your case,
Yes.
it would be Hindi. For
Yes.
Bilal, it would be for Urdu. For someone who is
Exactly.
speaking is in Brazil, it would be Portuguese. So they would of course prefer to speak the language that they are more comfortable with, and that. And when we are
Exactly.
talking about struggling, so of course, you know, they might will struggle. We would see that in Pakistan, in India, in Brazil, in Peru as well. So I think we need to give that leverage that if they are trying to come that far to accommodate, and you know, you were already part of their workforce. So I think that's good to know. And Tanu, coming to you, like of course you are working with now one of the biggest insurance firms in the finance. So how is it like for you? Is it highly diverse, or how do you?
Yes, it is actually. It, so it is highly diverse. So did we lose Hossein? Okay. So because I have teams sitting in Asia also, so I have people sitting in Singapore, India. We have people in the UK, in US. So we have a totally diverse team. We have good female. Actually, in my company, the female ratio is around 52%. So that's a very good non-executive level I'm talking about right now, but it is actually very diverse in that sense.
Hmm.
All right, thank you, Tano. It seems Kousain is having a little bit of a
Yeah.
technical issue, so in the meantime, while we're waiting for him, maybe we can talk a little bit about the next question, which is how important is a local language at workplace? So we kind of, talked about how German is really important when it comes to communicating with the local community, right? One of you also mentioned that it's important when it comes to like, small businesses because they might not necessarily have work like co-workers that speak English as well. But what about in like your own workplaces? Do you guys think that German has been very useful in your own workplace places? Do you use it often? What about in your branch, especially since we want to talk about engineering and the business management aspect?
For me, it's personally it's English. That's our official language. But whenever we are talking with just our German colleagues, the business which they are doing in Germany, then it becomes little bit of German, but mostly it's English.
Okay.
That's good to know. Sorry, guys, it was a little connectivity issue from my side. I hope I was not away for too long.
Yeah, no
No, no,
problem, Hossein. We were just talking about the next question about the language, the
Perfect.
importance of the language.
Great. So should we move into the next part then? Because okay.
Yeah, I think
Bilal
Bilal
or
had something to say.
to say,
Maybe
please go ahead, Bilal. The important
Yes,
topic about language.
yes, more or less actually it will take you another step actually because English is our school language and whenever we talk English it's very formal, yeah, okay, we stick to the topic, we stick to the point. But German actually, when we talk with the other colleagues in coffee talks or lunchtime, lunch breaks or something, the connection I see, it's more easy uh, to make actually with the colleagues with their local language. So it's important. I suggest to learn a language, very important to interact with your colleagues, to get involved into so many exciting surprises what actually we missed when we are only communicating in English.
Of course. No, I think it's, you have, of course, the necessity of language within your workplace and, post workplace as well, socializing and,
Yes,
local events and things like that. I think that really makes a big difference. Wonderful.
exactly. Yeah.
So then, moving on to the interesting part. So we have, of course, covered the way that how one must look through that journey to Europe. What are the current possibilities, and then now talking about how the future looks like. So, of course, I would like to include on both have the perspectives on both the sides, engineering and management as well. So. Coming to Bilal, you first. So, what are the opportunities when you see when we are talking about, let's say, job opportunities within Europe? So you're working in Germany. How does the cross-border opportunities look like for you? Are there too many, or how do you look into that?
From this question, I raise one of thing actually that, for example, there is a company where my friend is working. They have different projects, plants in France as well as in Germany. So if one of the location doesn't have that capacity to deploy those projects, actually, they actually ask from other countries to come over and join that project. So this is where you are very usable. If German market is somehow into downtrend, there are other countries actually where the plants, where the people, where the projects actually are in need, and then there are opportunities where you are being usable actually. So being in the European Union, being especially in this economic zone, we find really good opportunities that we can move. For instance, if you have a blue card resident status, you can switch job from one country to another one. So similarly, if I have my company back in, for example, in Italy or in Spain, I can just switch myself there with the same contract, and they will just
Mm.
do some makeup on it, and yeah, the opportunity
Right.
gets more and more.
The mobility
Yeah,
within the
yeah,
EU, of course, I think that's
exactly. Yes,
one of the
this is my
important
point.
parts.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Tanu, on coming onto your side, of course, engineering in itself, like, it's a very technical IT side. There are a lot of projects coming on the future, looking at the future perspective. Finance. What technological advancements are you seeing right now? Is there a lot of digitization projects going on within Allianz, or let's say within the finance? How do you see those trends going on that side?
So on technology side, you're absolutely right, because right now we see the chat GPT and the LLM models coming into picture. So we have started using in our processes. We are seeing process mining so much going on, task mining, which is totally new, different. We see on big data and on the data science, we are actually looking for data scientists who can help us with this big data kind of thing. So there is so much scope right now, which I see. And if you have that kind of skill, you're always welcome.
No, perfect. This is really good to know. The last question from my side would be towards both of you. A quick one before we go into, let's say, the Q&A session where we have already received a good number of questions. Artificial intelligence, there's a lot of development going on that side, as you have mentioned about Tanu as well. Large language models being implemented. You have, of course, the big player in that, ChatGPT. Bilal, coming onto your side, engineering, wonderful, great, a lot of projects futuristic going on. How do you think specifically AI is changing the landscape for engineering professionals? I'm sure there will be a lot of project going on, let's say, into Europe, into the countries who are, let's say, developed, more technologically advanced. People who are coming from countries that are developing nations, what would you suggest that, is there a lot of going on? How do you see
It's
AI
obviously,
impact?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's obviously so much going on. On one side, AI is being called KI in Germany, and if you search, there are so many KI projects being funded by the German government. So if you have any idea, you can come forward and take the money from the government. They will support you for next 4 or 5 years, and this is also one part. The other part is sticking to the automotive industry. There is a lot of going on. For instance, where we have processes defined in big companies like Daimler, BMW, Volkswagen, they still are on level two, as there are almost level five, capability levels five, where Tanu told us data being managed, the qualitative, quantitative analysis, and they use these data to make their process more better actually. And this is where so many tooling is coming in. On other side, there are companies who only make tools based on AI, and they sell their services to the big enterprise. So they deploy in their projects, and this is how everything is combined. So AI is making a big impact, as it's a trend also in the industry in IT. And so many of our jobs, like I say, the typical IT jobs are being vanished because of the AI tooling, because AI do their jobs. AI is taking over the data, doing all of this stuff. So this is where I see people needs to get into it. And on the other side, the educational side, there are so many Hochschule, so many universities in Germany. They are providing courses, bachelor's, masters in AI to develop the new workforce for their market as well.
And that's really good to know that, there is a lot of going on that side. Coming to now the final point from our side, I'll just like to introduce a little bit about our firm as well, and then how we are playing. We have already seen that what the market trends are, what how we see the landscape changing for Europe, what demands are there for engineering and management professionals, what the workplace, of course. Bilal, Tanu, thank you so much for sharing those insights on, how people should look at those initial stages of, let's say, moving to Europe, working in Europe, and then what the future looks like. I would like to now include a little bit about Sperton as well, that what role we are playing and what support that we can provide to the audience. I see that there is a lot of communication. And then we have like now the 8 minutes left. So we will try to, of course, ramp this up from our side. And in the end, we will just have the Q&A session. So coming to Sperton, we are a management consulting firm and we help our clients in terms of finding the right talent, getting them on board and managing the complete employee life cycle. We are primarily working in sectors as in energy, IT, and healthcare, working with some of the big names like Siemens, Hitachi, Wärtsilä, Ericsson in the energy and IT sector, and then small, medium enterprises within different regions. We are headquartered in Norway, but we have our entities in the US, multiple locations within Europe, multiple locations within the Asia Pacific and South Asia region as well. We have a team that is working, having background from IT, from engineering background, from human resources, finance, supply chain. So we know the challenges, the specific job roles of our clients, and this is where we are trying to tap in the market. What we have seen over the past few years is that we have been assigned a lot of projects. Of course, the clients want to deliver their projects, and then they come to us for their talent needs. And since there is a lot of scarce talent within Europe, companies are facing just fighting over the same resources. So if we can help them tap the in the markets where there is excess of talent, and help these people move into Europe where there are more opportunities. So this is a win-win for all of us. It's the win for the clients as well. It's a win for us as well, and the win for the talent as well. This is where we are trying to make sure that when somebody in, let's say, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, in Brazil, South Latin America, in North African regions, they wish to explore opportunities within Europe. And one of the biggest fear when it comes to relocation to global mobility is that, okay, you know what, how will I manage it? How will the job opportunities look like? And all of those things. And this is where we provide the value to the talent, giving them those insights, giving them with all the tools that they need, helping them in each and every single step so that, you know, they are a success story once they land in Germany and in Europe. So this is what we do. In terms of the services, we have four specific areas that we focus on. It's global mobility, people management, global recruitment, and business support. We're a company that is more focused on the supporting our clients, as I mentioned. It's B2B, but now we have to already engage with the talent as well, because this is where we have to support them, making sure that we deliver to our clients in terms of their projects. Coming on to what we are already, some of the areas where we support the talent is in their visa and immigration services, relocation services, tax, legal, compensation benefits, health and wellness, logistics, travel management, and assignment. So, you know, all of those areas where when a talent is moving, so they would need support in terms of, let's say, their visa and immigration, because that is, let's say, the first step. Then you would need, of course, we touched upon relocation. It's a big challenge. So when you are back in your home country and you want to move, this could be a big challenge for you. And then, you know, tax and legal, you know, all of those items that the talent would face difficulty in as well, we are supporting on those side as well. So that was a quick rundown on Sperton, how we support to our clients. We are a team that is very diverse, coming from 30 different nationalities, spread over 14 different regions with physical offices, working with our partners in 140 more countries. So we understand the culture, the background where people are coming in, and then, you know, helping them through each of the steps. Some of course of the big names, Watila, ABB, Hitachi, Becton Dickinson, Siemens, working in IT, energy, healthcare sectors. We had already covered a webinar similar to this, where we invited two guest speakers from healthcare background, two doctors who are working in Germany and who are working in Denmark to share their insights. And we had conducted a similar webinar for IT professionals as well. You can check it out on our website, sperton.com, and then in the webinar section, you would find that. I think that 90-minute really helps you plan your way ahead, and this will help people moving into, if they're planning to move into Europe. So that was it. Now we will come to the question and answer session, and you see that there are a lot of comments and a lot of people have mentioned things. So I will just try to take as many as we can take that's possible. One of the things that we have already seen is that people are mentioning about, of course, nutritionist health assessor. So I'll just take that first question. We have already covered a webinar that covers nutritionist, in which region within Europe those are needed. So I would again suggest that, you know, for healthcare specific workers, again, we have touched all the job families. So in 90 minutes, and I'm sure that will be worth it. Now, coming into then, are there opportunities in data and growth functions in the business domain? Sorry, Bilal, I will just take those questions as we go along, and then, of course, if there is something that's much relevant, I will include you as well. For
Oh,
data and analytics on that side, we have already covered a webinar on IT specialities. We have covered different job families in cybersecurity, in data and AI, in development side as well. So I would again encourage that, you know, you do that. Then talking about, for instance, IT technicians, again, it's on that side. Some of the services questions that are asked that, you know, how are the next processes? So of course, like, you know, after this webinar, we will reach out to the people who have subscribed for this webinar, for the application that we have received over the past several weeks, people working in the engineering and management side. So we will guide through those next steps. We will, of course, evaluate your individual profiles, seeing that are these the needs that are these the skills that are needed in Europe? If they qualify, then of course we'll be getting in touch with you and then making sure to take you through each and every step. It's all automated. We are a data-driven company. So we will take through those steps. Then talking about one of the important things, Bilal, this is, I will include you and Tanu, including you as well. A lot of times we receive this question that can you land a job while you were in Pakistan or in India or in your home country? How difficult it is to land a job while you are in your home country? It's, I think it's the most important question for the audience. So, could you tell, Tanu, I'll come to you in the start, extensive finance background. How open is it? You're a big company working in different regions. Do you hire people around that, or it makes a difference if you are in Germany?
So it makes actually difference if you are in Germany. So hiring people, because management kind of jobs, it is easier to find people in Germany because German people are, I would say, not in that much technical. They are, when they go in technical, they are very much technical. So, but normal people completing college, they go into management kind of jobs. So there is big competition also. So if they have talent already here, so getting up people outside of country, sponsoring them. So this, so companies sometimes try to avoid that kind of cost. So if they are already in Germany, so it becomes easier for the company to hire people on the management side. If I'm engineering side, what I've seen, because when there is not that kind of skill, they need to hire someone. So then they go beyond whatever. So they pay for the visa, relocation, everything, and then they bring that kind of skill. But in management, I won't say that that is so much in trend.
Wonderful. No,
Yes,
Bilal, coming to
exactly.
you on that part.
Yeah.
So, for instance, no, Tanu, great that you mentioned that. So, for engineering as well, like just coming to you on that specific question. So, what would be the, let's say, not we are not talking about, let's say, specific numbers, the probabilities, because that will be too much. But then, how do you feel that would it make a huge difference if you were, let's say, back in your home country, or if you were in here? Do you see a lot of many cases where jobs are being offered to people in their home country, or it makes a difference while you are here? We support them.
Yeah. So first of all, it's completely my personal insights on this actually, because for the past few years, Pakistan is lacking into the new technologies. So there is not so many new qualifications coming up. The basic engineering modules are being taught in the university. And for instance, we take aircraft industry, automotive industry, medical industry, or other industries, they are not ramping up. So people, the recruiters, the companies in the Europe side, they know about the situation in Pakistan, for instance. Similar like in India, there are so many global companies, so they know that Bosch is also there. The trainings what we are doing in Europe is also being trained there in India, but this is where I see lackness in country. What I suggest is, if, for instance, you don't have a very good experience into the new technologies, yeah, you are doing the servicing, decommissioning, deployment, you are doing the designing by copying the other designing. So if you wanted to do more research or more into the development, you need to come here. Maybe just take some courses for 1 or 2 years, ramp up yourself, and then go into the industry. So this is also one personal suggestion from my side to get into the industrial role. Of course, when we come to the experienced guys, the experienced people in already industries, they know about how to manage their projects. So they are getting hired directly as well. But for the most of the people, they needed to be more qualified to get into the companies here. Yeah.
Perfect. No, I think that's a good part. I'll just take the last question before we are already 3 minutes above our time. We have a question that is of course often asked as well. That do you recommend targeting Europe, targeting jobs in Europe uh, um, directly, or would you recommend like first going for a degree and then target a job post your degree? So, for instance, Bilal, You started with your education career first, and then you, of course, started the job. Tanu, with you, it was the other way around. You started your job first, and then in between, you took a job. So, what would you recommend? For myself, of course, like, I just recently finished my master's in data sciences as well, behavioral economics. It had been for me the other way around that, I started my job as well, and then in between, I was studying. So, it could be a mixed plate. But Tanu, I will just come to you quickly on this one. So what would your take be that okay, you should start with um looking into a degree program and then looking for a job, or let's say look for a job and then looking for a degree program. Of course, those things matter if which level of career you are in. So if you are, let's say, already a well-achieved person, what's your take on that one?
So it depends on what kind of job you are looking. So you just start going through on the ads and you see what skill is needed. And if you have that kind of skill, then you can directly apply. But if you don't have that kind of skill, then you need to all upskill yourself, and then you can come here. You can go for those kind of courses or certification and then apply. So so if it would make the sense in that way.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
perfect. Bilal, if you would like to add something on that.
Um, I wanted to add something else actually. From the chats and the QAs, there is still a
Hmm.
confusion going on that the how the Sperton will take care of the job applications, or how the Sperton
I
is
can.
gonna work for us
Wonderful.
or help for us. So
No,
this is
exactly.
what I see a lot of Q&As. Can we just address a little bit on that as
Of
well?
course, exactly. That's good, Bilal. So we have already touched on that one as well. We of
Yes.
course we support the talent in terms of their every step along the way. This includes starting with their visas, starting with their verification documentations, starting with helping them connect with the employers that we have, helping them connect, making sure that the resumes that we see a lot of times on an average day, we see hundreds
Yeah.
of profiles, and those profiles are not as per what the employers will be looking like. We are working with small, medium enterprises, big multinationals. So helping the talent in every step of the way, it feels like, okay, great, you can apply from Pakistan, from India, from different regions, send thousands of applications to the employer and still not getting a response. So that means you're doing something wrong. If you would have a person, a team that can really support you in that process, this is where we add the value to. And this is one part. No, that's great. And then once we will be taking the people into the next stages, of course, we will reach them out from our side as well, guide them through all of those things. So I would encourage the audience to have that a little bit patience on that side, and then I think we will
Yeah.
definitely guide them through the process. Wonderful, Bilal, that you mentioned that. I will just take one
Yes.
last question from my side. There was a question that specifically why we are talking about Germany and not other European countries. I will take that question on my side. I'm working with 7 different
So,
regions right now: Germany, Norway, Denmark, France, Belgium, Netherlands. If this webinar was for healthcare professionals, if you were a nurse, a doctor, physiotherapist, pharmacist, I would have mentioned that, please, we will be targeting on Denmark because of a lot of reasons. It's because of the demand, it's because of the healthcare needs for the next 10, 15, 20 years, it's because of the processes. If someone is a oil and gas professional, then we would be telling to look into Norway, to look into Denmark, because this is where the big oil is. If we are talking about, let's say, engineering and management, so you have the industrialized economy within Germany. So we really need to, this is where, for instance, we bring in that expertise, guiding the talent that, okay, these are the trends, these are the numbers that are telling, this is what you should do. And this is from our experience. We are already handling multiple clients, hundreds of positions. So this is the insight that we add value to. I hope that was useful for a lot of people. Um, Bilal, Tanu, once
yes.
again, taking that 1.5 year for 1.5 hour for us in that on a Saturday. I once again thanks to all the audience that have been there, showing that patience and like taking the information. It was 90 minutes from our side. I hope this information proves useful to you, and we wish you a wonderful success and a smooth journey towards Europe. Thank you once again, everyone. Cheers. Bye.